served as the governor of Odisha. She's someone who has held various constitutional posts, and she's the first woman tribal president of this country. One would wonder where this sort of language is coming from for the president, for a sitting president of the country.
So you mentioned two important aspects. Yes, definitely the credentials of Droupadi Murmu cannot be blamed. She has held very high constitutional posts, right from being a councillor in Odisha, her home state, to being a governor of Jharkhand. So yes, her governor's credentials cannot be questioned. And yes, it is also very important to know that she is the first Adivasi woman president of this country, because of which she won through by a high margin, not only by voters and of BJP, but even the voters of opposition parties voted for her. So you can understand what was the significance of her being the president. The second important aspect you mentioned was about the sycophancy culture that is prevailing within the Congress party. And what can be even more evident is that what we are seeing in the current presidential race, where we are just not seeing about what is the clarity of being the president of the Congress party. We are seeing that a rubber stamp president is going to be elected, which has the blessings of the Gandhis. And so it is very important you actually noted that how the sycophancy culture is prevailing within the Congress, how there is this kind of indiscipline that is being allowed to prevail, because of which several of the leaders, in order to target BJP, is instead trying to target the highest constitutional post of this country. Back in the studio.
Oh yes, and absolutely. And I want to just mention over here, if you look at her credentials, she's been an MLA from the BJP. After that, of course, she went on to become the Jharkhand governor, the first woman governor of Jharkhand, the first tribal governor of Jharkhand. She's had an active political career. So when many would wonder why something is being used as basic as sycophancy is being used to target her, because if one were to go by her credentials, she has all of them in the right place.
You rightly said, Nupur. And one thing we must understand is that her professional success aside, let us also understand and appreciate the personal struggle which Droupadi Murmu went through. Now, she's a widow. She has also lost her son. Despite all her personal struggles, she made sure that she rose up the ranks. She has come from the poor family. Despite this, she made sure she got herself educated. She made sure that her children got good education. She made sure that she went through the rigors of politics and rise through it. So despite all her professional struggles, which we do appreciate, one thing which also must be acknowledged and appreciated is that how she, as a woman, rose up the ranks. She, despite her personal struggles, went and, fought it out and actually won. So all this needs to be taken inspiration from. And
absolutely.
In spite of the sycophancy culture which is prevailing within the Congress.
Hold your thoughts for a minute, Piyush. I'm going to come back to you. Mr. Varakan on the phone line with me. Mr. Varakan, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Varakan, how do you see this tweet? I mean, it does appear to be rather demeaning of someone who's holding the top constitutional post of this country, who won it through election, who's had a huge career behind her to back her up in terms of her credentials. Do you see this perhaps as loose cannons from the Congress party, who the Congress is failing to control?
This is the lowest ebb that the Congress party can arrive at. The Congress president did meet the President of India. And if this is the view expressed by one of the leaders of the Congress party, it is not only important for the president of the party to clarify and apologize to the nation of what a member of the party said against the President of India. It's unfortunate and regrettable. And I think I don't find words to condemn it. It's unfortunate and regrettable.
And in many manners, Mr. Varakan, would you say it's regressive? Because here's a political party, which is the oldest political party of this country, targeting a woman president with, using words like chamchagiri. And, many would find it a little hilarious because sycophancy is something that we have seen in the Congress party.
Well, that's been a tradition there. And in fact, that he talks about sycophancy is an indication of the infection that they have got. It's unfortunate they're connected with the President of India, who came on her own merit and has been governor, and she has taken the constitutional office with great, honor. And I think the whole country has accepted her. And here is this leader who is talking in terms which is not acceptable. I think the Congress president must come on record and issue an apology to the nation.
All right, Mr. Varakan, appreciate your speaking to us on Republic TV. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to go back to Piyush Ori on the ground now. Piyush, any responses that we are getting from the Congress party? And is this perhaps another case of loose cannons within the Congress party who, as you rightly pointed out, the Congress High Command fails to control?
You mentioned a very appropriate word, loose cannon. And so loose cannon it is. A very weird statement has been made, a regressive statement has been made, a regrettable statement has been made. And as of now, there has been no political reactions that have been given by top leaders of the Congress party. But it only shows about how much indiscipline is prevailing within the Congress. Now, it is not that if there would have been a very strong writ which would have been prevailing within the Congress party, if there would have been a very strong disciplinary system that would have been prevailing within the Congress party, such kind of regrettable statements, such kind of loose cannons would not have emerged. But you only understand about how weak actually the structure within the Congress party actually is, which is preparing for itself for the upcoming presidential elections. Back to you in the studio.
And extremely interestingly, it comes on a day when Sonia Gandhi herself is, of course, joining the Bharat Jodo Yatra, and the Yatra, of course, is termed Bharat Jodo. I'm going to come back to Piyush in just a bit, but I think we've got a reaction that's come in from Shehzad Poonawala of the BJP.
Congress party has crossed all limits yet again by insulting and by taunting President Droupadi Murmu when its national spokesperson and senior leader Udit Raj has used words for Droupadi Murmu ji that can't be repeated. But this is not the first time, nor is it a coincidence. This is the real Chal Charitra Chehra of the Congress party, which always hates and does not allow for Dalit and Adivasi upliftment. You would remember the statements made by Dr. Ajay Kumar of the Congress party about the Adivasi Samaj and about Droupadi Murmu. He said that they have an evil mindset. You also remember how Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary ji, a senior leader of the Congress party, mocked Rashtrapati Droupadi Murmu by calling her Rashtrapatni. This is the mindset which is basically Adivasi Virodi and Dalit Virodi that subsists in the Congress party, and therefore this kind of language is used time and again against Droupadi Murmu ji, the first woman tribal president of this country. Instead of accepting and instead of celebrating this, the Congress party, which defeated Ambedkar ji twice, which never allowed for the contributions of Bhagwan Birsa Munda to be celebrated, is today using the most foul and filthy language against the people's president, President Droupadi Murmu, whose candidature and whose presidency is a historic presidency. This shows the true face of the Congress party, which has always been Dalit Virodi and Adivasi Virodi.
There are no reactions that are coming in from the Congress yet. But it's an interesting day that this tweet comes on, because Mrs. Gandhi herself has become a part of the Bharat Jodo Yatra. And such a comment, obviously, is going to be questioned.
You rightly said, Nupur, that this tweet comes on the day when Congress is making a very aggressive campaign through its Bharat Jodo campaign in down south. They've already done this Bharat Jodo campaign in Kerala, and now they are undertaking this yatra in Karnataka, where along with Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, despite her ill health, is joining the campaign. So you can understand about how desperate now Congress is to make its mark in southern states to revive its political fortunes. But the most important thing to understand is that how can your political fortunes be revived if you make such kind of weird statements, if you make such kind of regrettable statements, and if you don't reprimand such kind of loose cannons who try to demean the constitutional post of, the highest constitutional post of the country, and you try to demean the president. So despite irrespective of the hectic campaign which is being organized by the Congress party, all this gets undone because of such regrettable and such weird statements done by some leaders of the Congress party, and lack of discipline clearly shows within the Congress working systems. Back to you in the studio.
All right, absolutely, Piyush. Any reactions, Piyush, that we are getting from the Congress party on this? Now, also, the person who's made this comment, Udit Raj, is not some local leader from, an unknown area. He is a spokesperson of the Congress party, and one would think that, when you're targeting the constitutional head of the country, you would have perhaps desisted from using this kind of language.
You rightly said, Nupur, that Dr. Udit Raj is definitely one of the prominent leaders of Congress party, and he in the past is not the only leader who has tried to target Droupadi Murmu. As Shehzad Poonawalla in his interaction with you already said that some of the past leaders and some of the tall leaders of Congress party, that includes Dr. Ajay Kumar and also Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, who are actually very tall leaders of Congress party, have in turn targeted Droupadi Murmu, the president of the country. So yes, for these leaders to make comments is definitely does not behooving the grand old party of the country, and it again, as I say, it only shows that how much lack of discipline is there within the party and how actually weakened the top structure of the Congress working system is actually there is.
All right, Piyush Ori reporting from New Delhi and bringing us all those details. Thank you very much for joining us. All right, so this is a comment. Piyush, just hold your thoughts and stay with us. All right, I think we've got Mr. Sirsa also on the phone line with us. Mr. Sirsa, good morning. What do you make of this comment that has come in from Udit Raj? He's the spokesperson of the Congress party. Do you think perhaps that this is not the kind of language that should be used by the Congress for a constitutional head, a sitting constitutional head?
Very true. It's a very shameful statement on the part of Congress. I think Congress not able to digest the day the President has and that too from the background which Congress would have never imagined in their life. So that looks like this is the reason that Congress is after the President from the day one. And by now, giving this kind of a statement, using this kind of a word against the constitutional head, it's not just shameful, but also very ridiculous, and we strongly condemn this kind of language used by Congress.
Right, Mr. Sirsa, thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Gaurav Bhatia also speaking to us, joining us on the phone line right now. Mr. Bhatia, good morning. Thank you for speaking to us. To begin with, Mr. Bhatia, how do you see this comment, and how do you see this comment in the background of the fact that the President fought these elections? She won with a huge margin. She has credentials to back her up. She's been the governor of Jharkhand, and she was an elected MLA. Do you think that then someone from the Congress who targets the sitting president of the country, who is also the head of our defense forces, even as we speak, is below the belt? It does not behove any political leader.
Very good morning. This statement by Mr. Udit Raj is unacceptable, unpardonable, and should be condemned in the strongest possible terms. The reason is very simple. They cannot accept the fact that a member of the scheduled tribe is the president of our country. And even during the elections, the Congress leaders were continuously targeting a self-made woman who has risen up the ladder through sheer hard work and the commitment she has for the country. But it's a sinister design of the Congress party to tell the leaders who then target the highest constitutional authority. And I would wait to see what action Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi would initiate against Mr. Udit Raj. And if they do not initiate any action, it means that it is only after their concurrence and acceptance that such a statement has been made by Mr. Udit Raj.
All right, Mr. Bhatia, I appreciate your speaking to us on Republic TV. Thank you very much for joining us. Shazia Ilmi also on the phone line. Ms. Ilmi, good morning. Thank you for speaking to us. How do you see the statement that's been made? This is, of course, against someone who is the president of the country. She's the constitutional head of our defense forces. She's someone who has been a career politician, has the credentials to back it up. Do you think that this perhaps does not behove someone, a political party that is essentially seen largely as the opposition in the country?
Good morning to you and to all your viewers. I'm actually appalled and deeply hurt by the statement given by the Congress representative member vis-a-vis our president. And I want to say that not only as a member of the BJP, but as a citizen of India, I think it's unacceptable that the first tribal president of India, our very own, somebody we are so proud of, Droupadi Ji's name has been dragged into this partisan politics. And I really think Droupadi Ji is somebody whose journey is like an inspiration to so many people, scores of people, crores of people, especially women who come from marginalized sections. And she is the first tribal president, so we are very proud of her. And to say anything which is unbecoming and unparliamentary about our president is to not just disrespect our democracy, but the rule of law and the constitution. So I think it's quite appalling, and I think Congress should immediately not just apologize, but pull up such spokespersons who don't know the very essence of democracy of this country, and the fact that no president can be spoken of in this manner, because she is the president of our country, one, and they must be told that they, after all, are fellow Indian citizens who ought to respect the constitution and the president of the country.